Keyboard keys. Think of the laptop keyboard as the highest traffic intersection on the device. Because it is the primary way a user inputs data, it is subjected to constant physical wear, accidental liquid spills, and accumulating debris. For the CompTIA A+ exam, you must understand that diagnosing and replacing a laptop keyboard has changed dramatically over the last decade. It has gone from a simple 5-minute repair to one of the most labor-intensive tasks a technician can perform. Part 1. The anatomy of the keys. Before you can fix a keyboard, you have to understand what happens underneath the plastic keycap. Laptop keyboards almost exclusively use a scissor switch mechanism, which is fundamentally different from a traditional desktop keyboard. The keycap, the plastic square that your finger actually touches. The scissor mechanism, two tiny, interlocking pieces of plastic that act like a folding chair. This is what keeps the keycap stable and allows it to travel straight up and down in a very shallow space. The rubber dome, sitting right in the center, underneath the scissor mechanism, is a small rubber dome. When you press the key, the dome collapses and completes an electrical circuit on the membrane below, registering the keystroke. As a technician, you must know that the plastic hinges on a scissor switch are incredibly fragile. If a user tries to pry a key off with a screwdriver to clean it, they will almost certainly snap the microscopic plastic pins, requiring a replacement of the entire hinge assembly. Part 2. Diagnosing keyboard failures. When a user complains about their keyboard, the issue usually falls into one of three categories. 1. The sticky key, spills, and debris. If a single key feels crunchy or is slow to pop back up, the culprit is almost always physical debris, like a crumb or dried liquid, such as coffee or soda. If only one or two keys are affected, you can sometimes use compressed air or carefully remove the individual keycap to clean the mechanism with isopropyl alcohol. 2. The dead zone, hardware failure. If an entire row of keys stops working, or if a specific cluster, like the letters Q, W, E, and R, goes dead, this is a hardware failure. The electrical traces inside the keyboard membrane have been severed, usually due to liquid corrosion or physical bending of the chassis. You cannot repair a broken trace. The entire keyboard must be replaced. 3. The completely unresponsive keyboard, connection failure. If not a single key works, the problem is rarely the keyboard itself. It is usually the connection to the motherboard. Laptop keyboards connect via a wide, flat ribbon cable that locks into a ZIF, zero insertion force connector. If the laptop was recently dropped, or if someone previously opened it for a repair, that ribbon cable may have slipped out of its locking latch. Part 3. The evolution of keyboard replacement. The CompTIA A+ exam will test your understanding of how to safely remove and replace these components. You must be aware of the two distinct eras of laptop design. The traditional drop-in keyboard. On older business laptops, the keyboard was a distinct, modular component. The process: you would typically remove one or two screws from the bottom of the laptop, often marked with a small keyboard icon. Then, you would use a plastic spudger to pop off the bezel above the keys. The entire keyboard would lift out, allowing you to disconnect the ribbon cable. A technician could perform this replacement in less than 10 minutes. The modern top case assembly. On modern, thin and light laptops, like Apple MacBooks or the Dell XPS line, the keyboard is no longer a separate part. It is integrated, often riveted or permanently glued, directly into the aluminum frame where your wrists rest. The process: you cannot just remove the keyboard, you have to replace the entire top case. This requires opening the bottom of the laptop and removing literally everything else first: the battery, the motherboard, the speakers, the fans, and the display hinges. You are essentially rebuilding the entire computer inside a new metal shell. This is a high-risk, multi-hour repair. Part 4. Temporary workarounds. As an IT professional, you are often tasked with keeping a user productive while you wait for a replacement part to arrive. If a laptop keyboard is dead, you have two immediate fallbacks. External keyboards. Simply plug in a USB or Bluetooth external keyboard. The laptop's operating system will automatically recognize it and allow the user to keep working. The on-screen keyboard. If the user has no external peripherals but needs to type in their password to unlock the machine, every modern operating system, Windows, macOS, and Linux, has an accessibility feature that brings up a virtual keyboard on the screen. The user can then click the keys using their mouse or trackpad. Summary for the professional technician. To lock this in for your exam Parisians, remember these core principles. First, scissor switches are fragile. Never pry off a laptop keycap without the proper thin plastic tools, or you will snap the hinges. Second, ribbon cables are the lifeline. If an entire keyboard dies suddenly without a spill, check the ZIF connector on the motherboard. Third, replacement complexity varies. Older laptops use modular, top-removable keyboards. Modern laptops require a total teardown to replace the entire top case assembly. Finally, liquid damage is fatal. You cannot repair the internal electrical traces of a membrane keyboard. If coffee gets inside, the unit must be replaced.